This is problem 8-8. For each equation below, make tables that include x values from -2 to +2 and draw each graph. So first one is, for A, is y equals the quantity x minus 1 squared times the quantity x plus 1. So I'm going to make a table here. Just kind of basic. From -2 to +2 for our x's. Okay? So we're just going to plug that in for the x places in the equation here. So I'm going to say -2 times -1. So that's going to be -3, and then I'm going to square it. And then in this quantity, -2 plus 1 will be a -1. So really this is a +9, and this isn't times a -1, so that makes -9 for that first value. Now I'm going to plug in -1 for our x. So I'm going to plug that in there. -1 minus 1 is -2 squared, and then this quantity, it would be a 0. So it'll just be 0 overall. Plugging in 0 here, 0 minus 1 is -1, and then 0 plus 1 is just regular 1. So that to multiply it together, this would be a +1 times 1 is just 1. Plugging in a +1 here, 1 minus 1, that part's 0. So we know eventually that's just going to be a 0. Doesn't matter what this part of it is. 2, I'm going to plug in a 2 up here. 2 minus 1 is 1 squared, and then times 2 plus 1, which is 3. So 1 times 3, it would be a 3. So now I'm going to make a kind of a sketch of the graph here. If you had graph paper, that would be fantastic to use now. So at -2 and +2 for my x's. So at -2, I'm at -9. So I'm going to say, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Graph go down here. So -2, -9 is the first point right here. -1, 0 is right here. Then I have 0, +1. And I have 1, 0, and then 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So this is how our graph looks. Okay? Perfect. So we're going to do the same thing on B and C. So we're going to make a table on B. It's very similar. Actually, the only difference for the B equation is that this second part from A is now squared. So that's kind of helpful. So I'm going to label this -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. So I'm going to plug these in here. So I have, again, -2 minus 1 is -3. And I have it squared, and then in here, -2 plus 1 is -1. And I square that. That means both of these are positives now, so it's just 9. +9 this time. Plug in -1, I get -1 minus 1 is -2. Square it. -1 plus 1 is 0, so that part's still going to be a 0. Plug in a 0, 0 minus 1, -1. Plug in a 0 here, that's just a 1 squared, so that'll end up being a +1 altogether. 1, plug that in. That'll be a 0 squared in the beginning. That part doesn't even matter. Plugging in a +2, 2 minus 1 is a 1. Plugging in 2 here, that'll be a 3 squared. So multiply those together, you get +9. So I'm going to make another graph here. Again, this should be probably done a little bit better than I'm doing, but just doing a quick sketch here. So -2, +9 is going to be way up here. -1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and then 2, 9. So it's going to be symmetrical this way, and it looks like a W. Okay, perfect. So then part C is y equals x cubed minus 4x. So again, we're making a table here. The same x's, -2 to +2 to +2. So 0 right there. Can't really see that well. Try to move it over. Okay, so now we're going to plug those in. So we have -2 cubed will give me a -8. And then -2 times a -4 is a +8. So that'll give me a 0 for the first y coordinate. -1 cubed is -1. -4 times -1 is a +4. So that gives me a +3. Plug in a 0 cubed, that's just all 0. 1 cubed, and then minus 4 times 1, so that's just that. So that'd be a negative 3. 2 cubed is an 8, and then negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, so that'll be a 0. So again, you're just plugging these x's into the equation where the x's are. So we have our y coordinates. We can go ahead and make our little graph. So negative 2 and 0 is our first point. Negative 1 and positive 3. There, 0, 0. 1, negative 3. And then 2, 0. So this one's more a little squiggle up and down. Okay? So what are the parent functions for these equations is part D to this question. Okay? And the parent functions would be, it's similar to their, you can see it from their equation, the degree of their equation, and the shape of their graph. So A, the parent function for that is x cubed, because the highest thing, if this were to be multiplied out, this would be an x squared and this would be an x. So those two multiplied together would be x cubed. Or you also know that this kind of squiggly S shape is an x cubed, or is a cubic. B's graph is like a W, and if you were to multiply these out, this is x squared times an x squared, which is x to the 4th power. So that's that one's parent function. And then C, like I said before, it's a cubic here. Now this is already multiplied out, so it's not a 4th degree here. It just got a little 3. That's the biggest one. It's already multiplied out. And it's the squiggly S shape, so that's x cubed as the parent function.